Welcome to Fear and Greed, the week ahead. I'm Sean Aylmer, and as always, I'm joined by economist Stephen Koukoulas. You'll find him at thekouk.com and on Twitter using the handle thekouk. That's TheKouk. Stephen, good morning.
Top of the morning to you, Sean.
Have you gotten over the weekend? Big race meetings?
Group 1 racing, the Everest, what a race that was.
Yeah.
Fantastic races. And I think on the day in Melbourne and Sydney, the combined prize money was 25 million. Oh, no, the Everest was 20 million. So it's like 30 million or something. So there's some serious money in horse racing going extraordinarily well. Alas, the bookies have got a bit of my money, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Not a lot going on at the moment. You should just have a quick look at the NAB survey last week, though. This is the business sentiment survey. I saw you quoted somewhere as suggesting that the fact that the NAB survey is showing sort of easing of price pressures means that we shouldn't have any more rate rises, or am I misquoting you, Stephen?
No, you're quoting me perfectly. I love the NAB survey. I think it's for a few reasons, it's right up to date. So it's how businesses were responding to the questionnaire literally last month. So unlike GDP numbers, which come out with a long lag and they're revised and they're volatile, this is a survey that just asks businesses, from the horse's mouth, what's happening to your business? And NAB amalgamate all those responses. And the point that you were quoting me on is not just the business conditions, business confidence, they're important, but there's a series of sub-questions, I suppose we could call them, within the survey. And they ask businesses what's happening to your labour costs, generally wages, what's happening to your input costs, so the cost of your widgets and all of the bits and pieces that go into your business, and then your selling prices. So are you putting up your selling prices by a lot or a little or putting them down? Now, that had perfectly picked the upturn in inflation 2 years ago to about 12 months ago when we had the peak at the end of last year. It turned and it's beautifully tracking the official inflation rate lower. Now, there was a blip in July when we had the Fair Work Commission increasing the minimum wage, so that wage labour cost indicator rose, and there was a blip the previous month for oil and petrol prices. I'm surprised that didn't sort of linger a little bit longer, as they say, but alas, it didn't linger, and the most recent results were new cyclical lows. So if the correlation between what the businesses are saying about labour costs, input prices, selling prices continues to track what the official inflation rate does, we've got inflation tracking lower.
We like that. We do
indeed. And I'm sure the new RBA governor would be pleased to see that, because I do know that they pay a lot of attention to the NAB survey, and if they do, so do I.
We're going to hear from Michelle Bullock, the new Reserve Bank governor, this week, aren't we?
Yes, she's giving a talk at the AFSA annual summit, and I think it's her first official speech. She's obviously put out press releases with the recent interest rate decisions and a few of the other bits and pieces with the Financial Stability Review and those things. But this is a speech, and it's a chance for her to talk about where she may have a different emphasis from her predecessor, Dr. Lowe, where she might be wanting to sort of read the economy. Has she got the forecasting team to revamp the forecast? What's her view on the oil price, Nauru, all these sorts of things. So we don't have a topic just yet. I'm sure it's just a general update on the economy, but more than normal when we pay attention to what Reserve Bank governors of the day are saying, this one's going to get a lot of attention.
Yeah, sure will. Now, the big statistic out this week is labour force. Where are we up to in the labour force market?
Yeah, on Thursday, we'll get the latest labour force numbers. We do know that the labour force numbers have been showing moderate employment growth. Now, we all know, and I have to say this probably every month, so I apologise about repeating myself, but the monthly numbers are very volatile. The last 2 months of employment, we had basically zero, then a plus 60,000. So, they're very choppy. So what the RBA and most markets people is put a trend line through them. And so it's 30,000 per month, which is probably a fairer guide on what's actually happening. So the market consensus for later this week is about plus 25,000. So just a little bit of a pullback. And there's a bit of a debate whether we get another tick up in the unemployment rate from 3.7 to 3.8%. Just for context, late last year, when the unemployment rate was at a 48-year low of 3.4%, it's been sort of generally grinding higher, not in a straight line. As I said, it's a volatile number month to month. But, if we get a 3.7 or a 3.8, it's certainly confirming that the best of the labour market news is behind us.
But it's not a bad thing. I mean, 3.8% is still a very low unemployment rate if you take, let's say, the last 40 years as context, 3.8 is still really low, and we don't mind it going up a little bit, do we?
Oh, look, indeed. I think anything sub 4% is a really good unemployment rate. And if you'd asked anybody, 2.5 years ago, would you be content to see the unemployment rate at 4%-ish, give or take? I think they would have said, yes, that's fantastic. Because again, they're putting just aside the pandemic economic data and labour market numbers and the job seeker sort of, I'll call them distortions, but, good distortions, if you like, on the labour market numbers. We had the unemployment rate hovering at 5% before the pandemic came along, and people were thinking, oh, that's still pretty low. That's pretty good. Here we are. It's going up from 3.5% towards 4%. So, and I guess that's that narrow path that the previous RBA governor, Dr. Lowe, was talking about. Can he sort of negotiate a slower rate of growth with a little bit of an uptick in the unemployment rate? But, if we get to the low point of the economic growth cycle and the high point, if you like, in the unemployment rate, and it's sort of in the low fours, that's not a bad outcome compared with where we've been, as you said, for the last, 40 or even 50 years.
Surely we can call ourselves the Goldilocks economy, can't we?
Well, I won't be cynical, but the federal election's 18 months away, so I can just imagine Dr. Chalmers, if we can get through this, he'll probably take a little bit of the credit for getting the economy through.
I dare say.
Even though it's probably high commodity prices and the other bits and bobs that helped us get there as well.
Details. Stephen, have a great week.
Thank you, Sean.
That was economist Stephen Koukoulas, better known as The Kook. You can find him at thekook.com and follow him on Twitter, on X, using the handle The Kook. I'm Sean Aylmer, and this is Fear and Greed, the week ahead.